The Girl on the Train is a mystery thriller that is based off of the acclaimed book that came out last year. I gotta tell you, this is a movie that I was stoked for going into it because I love mysteries. I love the sort of whodunit kind of movies. I love Emily Blunt. And the trailers that I saw just made it out like the movie's gonna have you guessing. There's gonna be a lot of great performances in this movie and it's just gonna blow your mind. So as a result, I just went into this movie with all the confidence in the world. Like nothing is gonna go wrong with this movie. And then as I was walking out of this movie, I said to myself, I really need to stop saying that. Okay, so before I get into my whole spoiler talk for A Girl on the Train, let me talk about the one thing that I did really like about it. Emily Blunt gives such a great performance in this movie. I really bought into her character. She did such a great job with what she had to do. I seriously could see her getting an Oscar nomination. I don't know if she will because this movie's not getting the best reviews, but that aside, I do think she should deserve some consideration at least for it. So yeah, she was awesome in this movie. Now let me get into everything else. First of all, getting into Emily Blunt's character. She is divorced, she has a drinking problem, and she rides this train every single day. And on this train, she spends her whole time fantasizing about this couple that is played by Luke Evans and Haley Bennett. As she goes through, it's like, oh, this is what they must do for a living. They must be so in love together. They just look so perfect for each other. He must do this. They must have this kind of family. You're just really letting her imagination run wild on this couple that she just sees every day. It just had me sitting there like, oh, that's a little bit fucking weird, but live your dream. And now later we learned that Emily Blunt had divorced her husband, who's played by Justin Theroux, because he cheated on her with Rebecca Ferguson, whom he's now married to and has a baby with. And we discovered that Emily Blunt apparently likes to also spend her days stalking the hell out of both of them. And it just gets to a point where you see that she does all this weird and ridiculous shit. You're just like, alright, it was hard for me to get behind you when I found out about your wild imagination about that couple. Now I really don't think I'm going to be able to. Now we get into the story behind Haley Bennett and Luke Evans. They are in fact a married couple. Luke Evans wants to have a baby, but Haley Bennett, I guess, isn't ready for that. And Haley Bennett is just frequently going off to her therapist about, you know, how Luke Evans is just being a dick about that whole situation, and she's responding to that by having affairs with a bunch of different people, including her therapist. And when I see the fact that she's cheating on him as often as she is, I'm sitting there like, wait, aren't you the one that goes missing and potentially dies later on? I don't know, am I supposed to care about that? Because this stuff isn't really helping your case. And that's really a problem with this movie. There just really isn't many likable characters throughout it. And then comes one day when Emily Blunt is riding on the train like a normal day. She looks over to Haley Bennett and Luke Evans' house and she sees Haley Bennett on the porch kissing her therapist. Which of course really pisses off Emily Blunt because now she feels her fantasy has been ruined by her. And then one night, after just getting piss wasted, she ends up walking towards Megan as Megan's leaving to go wherever. She says to Megan, oh, you're a fucking whore, and then Emily Blunt just blacks out. However, the very next morning we see Emily Blunt wake up. She's back in her apartment, but she is bleeding, she's bruised, and Haley Bennett is missing. Some people are now starting to wonder if Haley Bennett is dead and also if Emily Blunt might have killed her. And this is where I really thought the movie was gonna pick up. I thought, alright, now we're gonna get into the mystery, now we're gonna figure out exactly what it was that happened. But no, here's where the movie really shows us more of the problems that it has. Because Emily Blunt is trying to help find Haley Bennett by really talking to Luke Evans, saying, hey, I was friends with your wife, and also in the fact that she goes to meet with Haley Bennett's therapist to try to learn more information about him. But it's here, well, it's throughout the movie really, but it's here for me where I really noticed how bad this movie is with storytelling. Because we see in the moments where, you know, Emily Blunt is talking to Luke Evans or with Haley Bennett's therapist that the movie is jumping between several moments that happened in her life and other characters' lives. Because the movie will bring up, oh, 4 months ago or 1 year ago, and it'll show the events that happened in said character's life, but then the movie will immediately jump back to the present day, but it does it in such a bad way that it has you sitting there like, wait, are we still in that time period? Are we back at present day? The movie just executed the storytelling for these different time periods so poorly that rather than really sucking you in, it loses you. Then later on, the movie gets to a point, they discover Haley Bennett's dead body. She was in fact murdered, and it turns out she was pregnant. Emily Blunt later goes to meet with Luke Evans, and he's now pissed off with her because he finds out that she has been lying to him about her being friends with Haley Bennett, and because of that, the cops now suspect him for Haley Bennett's murder. But even worse, he tells Emily Blunt, oh, my wife was pregnant, but the child is not mine, nor is it the therapist's. Blunt. And you can tell the movie was now trying to make you think, oh, well then whose is it? But literally, myself and everyone else in the audience was just thinking to themselves, oh, it's Justin Theroux's. Like, who else would it be? Because Haley Bennett was working for him and Rebecca Ferguson as their nanny, and I also knew that because the fucking trailer gave it away. Yet another issue to have with this movie. The marketing for it was not good. It allowed the trailers to show too much. But it's even around this time Emily Blunt has done more of her digging, and she actually ends up running into Justin Theroux's old boss. And Emily Blunt remembers the story how she got way too drunk at one of these office parties, and that led to Justin Theroux getting fired, you know, back when they were married. But no, his old boss tells her, it's like, oh, you were a little drunk, but you weren't that bad. We let you take a nap in our guest room. Your ex-husband got fired because he was fucking everyone in the office. And apparently Justin Theroux was pissed off with Emily Blunt over that, and he just beat her up for it. Which you can see does give Emily Blunt closure in her scene that, you know, she wasn't the worst one in the relationship. He was. And Rebecca Ferguson begins to wonder that as well. She's thinking to herself, hey, Justin Theroux cheated on Emily Blunt with me. What if he's cheating on me with some other girl? So she ends up going through Justin Theroux's computer, and she discovers that the woman that he was having an affair against her with was Haley Bennett. And now the movie flashes back to the moment when Emily Blunt was wasted and she saw Haley Bennett in the tunnel. And we find out the reason that she was so bruised and battered the next morning is because Haley Bennett was walking down this tunnel to meet with Justin Theroux, and Justin Theroux came back and he just beat the hell out of Emily Blunt. And you just see all of this with Justin Theroux's character, and it's just like, holy shit, you are a fucking asshole. And then to top it all off, we finally get to the moment when Haley Bennett was murdered by him. She tells Justin Theroux, hey, I'm pregnant and you might be the father. And Justin Theroux literally just says to her, well then get an abortion. You know, like, something like that is nothing. Like, oh, it's easy, just abort it. Haley Bennett refuses to do so, and as a result, he murders her. You see all this stuff with Justin Theroux's character, and I'm just like, yeah, this guy might be in the running for shitbag of the year. And towards the end of this movie, Emily Blunt and Rebecca Ferguson, they've talked to each other because they now both know the truth behind Justin Theroux. Emily Blunt's at their house. She tries to call the police, but Justin Theroux just chases after her. He tries to kill her, but Emily Blunt just ends up taking a corkscrew and jamming it into his neck, killing him. And then they both separately reveal to the police, like, oh, it's okay, she only did that in self-defense. He was the one who murdered Haley Bennett. It's all good. So all in all, The Girl on the Train was a really disappointing movie. None of the characters in this movie are really even likable. I mean, Emily Blunt is a complete weirdo. Haley Bennett is a complete whore. Justin Theroux is a complete piece of shit. The storytelling in this movie is awful. I mean, it completely moves through all these different points in these characters' lives, and it doesn't flow smoothly, so you don't know which time period you're in half the time. The mystery in this movie sucked. I mean, it didn't really have you guessing. At a certain point, you would be able to figure out everything that happened. And yes, Emily Blunt did give a great performance in this movie. But here's the way I see it. For all of my fellow football fans who may be watching this video, I'm gonna put it this way. The Girl on the Train is a lot similar to the New Orleans Saints. They're a team that's led by Drew Brees, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, arguably one of the best quarterbacks of all time. He comes to play every game. He puts up big numbers. He does everything he needs to do to help his team. The problem is everything around him is garbage. The team's defense is atrocious. Their offensive line isn't very good. The weapons around Drew Brees, you don't know if they're actually good or just a product of him. And you look back on them every year and you say, yes, they have Drew Brees, but the Saints are still a bad team. And that's The Girl on the Train, people. It has a fantastic leading performance, but that's not enough to save it from being a bad movie. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.